Good evening, and welcome to the Positional Sports Talk Show, Post, live streaming on Facebook Live and from our Positional Sports Talk Show YouTube channel. We are a sports talk show made for the fans, from the perspective of fans, presented by lifelong sports fans. We will provide our opinions and positions on the hottest topics in sports. My name is Big Reg, and I'm joined this evening by my partners in crime. What's going on with you, Big Ed? How you feeling this evening, brother?
I'm fine. Hope everybody out there is fine as well.
Great. We got the professor in the building. How you feeling this evening, professor?
Praise the Lord, everybody. We about to bring that fire tonight. Glad y'all tuning in. Let's go.
Absolutely. We got our man, Big Johnny, on the mics this evening. How you feeling, Johnny? Uh-oh. Look like Johnny had a little technical issue. We'll get Johnny back in here.
Johnny?
You back with us, Johnny?
Yes.
How you feeling this evening,
I'm
brother?
definitely back with us. I'm feeling pretty good, man. Hoping to get everything going, man. But I'm feeling pretty good. I can't complain.
It's all good, brother. It's all good, brother. And back by popular demand, we got our man Sense back in the building. What's up, Sense? How you feeling, brother?
What it do, baby?
Glad to have you back in the house this evening, partner.
Thank you. Glad to be back.
Before we really start the show, it's been a little rough time for the fellas here at Post. We like to send our prayers, thoughts, and love out to our other partner in crime who's not with us this evening, J3. J3, we with you, brother. He lost a family member last night, unfortunately, to this COVID-19 pandemic. We here for you, brother. You know, if you need, just call. Be there.
Got you, J3.
Absolutely.
Hard to transition from that, but another member of the Post family wants to send a shout out to J Minnie. Happy birthday, J Minnie. Hope you enjoy your birthday.
Happy birthday.
We appreciate you being our Gen Z representative of the Post crew. So enjoy your day. Hopefully you made mom and dad get you a nice meal, spend a little cash, and do what they need to do.
The only way.
Absolutely. And lastly, I'd like to start the show by saying Happy Father's Day to all the dads, granddads, uncles, godfathers, big brothers, and mentors that make sure that the children and the family that are in their lives are taken care of. They put in the work, get up early, stay late, run around, do what they have to do to make sure that their family is taken care of, and good representations of what man is supposed to be. It only takes a few minutes to become a father, but it takes years and decades to become a good dad. So again, we applaud you, salute you, and happy Father's Day to all.
About that.
Happy Father's Day.
All right, this evening, we're going to discuss Major League Baseball and the crazy path to getting baseball back on track to play this season. I'm still not sure about that, but we're going to get into that in a little bit. We got to talk about how this COVID-19 pandemic, while everybody's gearing up to get ready to play, if you're paying any attention to sports, every day somebody's popping up with a different positive, and especially in team sports. So we're going to get into that. The NBA, major decision got to be made by players by tomorrow. So we'll talk to the NBA's plans on getting this season restarted. We're also going to hit, of course, things that caught our eye and our final post of the evening. So we appreciate you tuning in. Sit back, relax. This is Post on the Positional Sports Talk Show channel. So fellas, Major League Baseball and the Major League Baseball Players Association have been going back and forth since April about how they're going to finish this season off. And it sounds like we're going to have baseball, but how they got there is kind of interesting. I know, Ed, you did some research on this, so why don't you give us an update on what happened in this saga with Major League Baseball and the Players Association?
Well, let's kick it back to the beginning. The beginning actually started, I believe it was late March, around the 26th, I believe it was. And what it was this around the time that the country was in the midst of shutting down. All the leagues were shutting down worldwide, actually. And the MLBA Players Association met with Major League Baseball, basically the commissioner and a group of owners, and they decided on an agreement. And the key to that agreement was how it would look as far as restarting the baseball season when and if that time came. And the basic points of that agreement was the players agreed to how many ever games that was played at that point, again, whatever point that was, they agreed to a full 100% prorated salary. The second point was, and this is really, really key to the whole back and forth between the players and Major League Baseball ownership, was that they agreed that they would discuss the economic feasibility of playing without fans in the stadium. Now, if you really think about that, the players were saying, okay, we agree to that, but they weren't necessarily, it was like a don't ask, don't tell. They knew, probably, I'm speculating, of course, that any discussion about the economics of baseball would include discussions about playing in empty stadiums, no fans. The owners on the other side, again, this is just what I'm speculating. The owners, their position was, we'll leave it vague and we'll come back when and if the season starts up, and we'll use this as like a negotiating tool, meaning that we know we're going to take a hit if fans aren't in the stadium, and we're going to try to slide that in to the players to see if they can take some of the economic hit that would result from that would essentially result from no concessions,
Parking
everything
tickets.
Involved. Yeah, everything involved with fans actually attending live baseball games. Well, when the time came, when they started discussing, getting the league started back again, the player was like, we're going to stick to our original agreement. You agree to a full prorated salary, regardless of how many games are being played. And we actually, if you want to discuss anything as far as the economics of baseball, you're going to have to show us the books. To this date, Major League Baseball has yet to fully disclose the financials of their game. So that was a major sticking point. And so that began the back and forth. Between the ownership. So basically, the players wanted more games, because with more games at a full prorated salary, again, that would be more money for them. The league wanted less games, because with less games, if they agreed to the original agreement of a full prorated salary, which, by the way, they did not want to do, but if they did that, if they did stick with the original agreement, that was going to be less money out of their pocket actually paying the players. And also another sticking point, which is kind of like the third in the big scheme of things, was an expanded playoff. Well, ultimately, there's not going to be an expanded playoff. The same system that existed from 2012 is going to be the same system they implement moving forward. So as of last night, once the union, once again, the MLBAPA, which is Major League Baseball Players Association, the players, once they rejected the final 60-game season and counter-proposed with a 70-game season. So listen, what we're talking about is 60 games versus 70 games. They couldn't meet at 65. 60 versus 70. Players wanted 70. Major League Baseball wanted 60. But anyway, basically the agreement they came up with last night, that was self-imposed by Major League Baseball. Basically, that's the agreement that was on the table pretty much from day one, except for the number of games.
Yeah, so the way I understand it is they really didn't end up with a final agreement or a negotiated agreement. Basically, when they agreed in March, when they postponed the season, that they said that they gave the Major League Baseball an out that they could, at the end, determine the amount of games that they were going to play and say, y'all going to play this amount, or if not, then we're going to lock everybody out and basically everything opens back up. But I think that the issue about opening up their books is real funny. They want the players to help eat some of the loss that they're going to incur, because of course the Major League Baseball owners are saying they're going to lose millions of dollars every game that they play, which doesn't make sense, but they don't want to show the books.
Mm-hmm.
But want the players, to absorb some of the loss. But when they make millions of dollars each year from the TV revenue, they don't share that with the players.
I was just about to say that. Yeah, what about the TV money?
Well, what complicated matters also is within the now this is all this negotiation was approximately 90 days, exactly 90 days between the end of March and last night, which is when the commissioner imposed the 60-game season. It's been 90 days, but within that 90 days, we've been living within a pandemic, right? Mm-hmm. But yet Major League Baseball was able to negotiate with Turner Sports for $3.2 billion media rights deal. So it's kind of hard. That's just one of the deal. That doesn't include their Fox deal that they negotiated a couple years ago for over $5 billion.
Mm-hmm.
But it's funny because you're negotiating with players, asking them to absorb some of this lost revenue, but they don't discuss the $3 billion that they just negotiated between Turner Sports, which is TBS.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
In the words of SWV, as far as the books are concerned, you're never going to get it. You can throw that out the door. They're never going to show.
In vogue.
That's
never
in
going to
vogue,
show
brother.
the books at all.
In vogue.
That's what I meant. That's what I meant. That's what I meant.
You got you.
But
You all right.
and the words have been vogue.
Right, there you go.
But I wanted to ask, I did hear a conversation being discussed about the MLB and MLB, excuse me. And individuals were wondering that since the season has been reduced to 60 games, now making more pressure on each game that much more important. Do you think that will bring a little bit more excitement to the season now that the games mean a lot more? Instead of being stretched out to 150 plus games, I'm not sure exactly how many games are in the season, but they said this intensifies baseball. Mm-hmm. 162. So they're saying that the 60 games should intensify baseball, making every game much more important, like in an NFL season or whatever. Do you guys feel the same thing as what happened as well?
I think it would build a lot more excitement in that sense, because now you have teams that know they can't get off to a slow start. They know they got to hit the ground running, because there'll be no time for them to actually make up ground if they're losing the race in their particular divisions. And then just going back just real quick to what Ed just presented, what makes me think about what's going on with Major League Baseball with a couple of CBAs coming up in the next year or so. And if we're still in this pandemic, they're watching exactly how the owners and the Players Association for Major League Baseball are operating right now, because we all know the rich want to get richer. They don't want to share anything. So, yeah, it is funny and ironic that they want the players to absorb some of the loss, but yet they're not really taking a loss, but they just want to gain some of that money back that they won't be getting in revenue from their stadiums being filled up. So, I mean, that sets a precedence, but I think we're all watching with that careful eye, because other sports may try to take this same approach if the owners prove to be successful in what they're doing.
Hey, can I answer something Johnny asked about the excitement of the season? Because we're all in the DMV, we're coming live from the DMV area, DC, Maryland, Virginia, for those that don't know that. But anyway, It's funny you asked that question, Johnny, because 60 games, which is roughly 37% of the season, which that's a little. Now, I've always been on the side that the baseball season was too long. Maybe not 162, but maybe if you could reduce it to maybe like 140. I always thought that was a good good sweet spot as far as baseball is concerned. But for us that live in the DMV and follow and support the Nats, just think with a 60-game season last year, the Nats would probably be looking at the middle round. They wouldn't be world champions. We know that.
They wouldn't have made the playoffs because at the beginning of the season, the Nats were terrible. They didn't click in till halfway through last season,
Right.
and then they got hot at the end, and they just rolled that in. Remember, they was just a wild card.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for on the flip side of that, two things. One thing is, I think it will be exciting. I think the pitchers will definitely have the advantage. Teams that are stocked with good pitching should win out. I believe so. The pitchers, there's no need to save them. They can go full bore. You're only pitching, like I said, once every fifth day anyway, and you only have
pitching.
Yeah, and you only got 60 games. So I think that would make it exciting. But the one thing that I don't know if anyone's touched on is the IR, because one of the conditions that Major League Baseball is waiting on as far as another response from the union is they have to agree that they want to know if they can report to the second spring training by July 1st with a projected start date of July 24th for real games. And second, and this is going to be the sticky point. They have to agree on a safety protocol, and health protocol. Now, whether or not that gets accomplished, we don't know, because as we know, everyone here watches the news and lives in this. We don't live in a bubble. We have to work. Mm-hmm. Them agreeing with the spikes of COVID-19 right now, really out of control. It's not necessarily being reported. We've had some other issues that took precedent over COVID-19 for a while. But anyway, the numbers are coming in. They've recently shut down all 30 Major League Baseball training facilities after all these outbreaks were occurring with COVID-19 positive testing. So until they agree on the safety and wellness of everything, nothing's going to proceed. So we don't know right now if we even going to have baseball.
Yeah. I was just about to ask, like, what have they come to some type of protocol like the NBA has as far as like, should a player get infected or, with the virus, like what's their plans as far as, testing and quarantine? Like, have they mentioned that?
Well, Major League Baseball has a document, and they've come to a consensus as far as the owners are concerned, and Commissioner Manfred. They have a document and they have a protocol in place, but the union hasn't agreed on it. So until the union looks it over, and from what I understand, it's an encyclopedia thick. Until the union agrees on it, they can't proceed. It's not going to happen.
And I think I heard that they want the union to vote on that and either agree or disagree by tomorrow. So.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well,
here's this book this thick, and y'all have to say yes or no within 48 hours.
Yeah.
So
they know those guys are going to say yes. Them guys want to get paid. At least attempt to get paid. So I think it's a moot point.
Yeah.
We will see. Major League Baseball has the strongest union of the players' unions out there. So if there's something fishy in that document, the players are going to say no. And I still expect some players to say, some of the big time players to say, yeah, that's all right. I'm not going to play anyway.
They can be like Bryce Harper and go to the Eagles. Try to go to the Eagles.
Well, here's a loophole.
Based on privilege.
Well, here's a loophole. And this is interesting because one of the players that was one of the most outspoken against any type of agreement was our very own Max Scherzer, and who happens to be the number three, who happens to be the third highest paid player in the major leagues. Now, right now, with the 37% reduction of his almost $36 million salary, he's set to make something like a little bit over $13 million for 60 games, right? But the key is, here's how you can circumvent it. And this might end up happening. Wonder if you go out with a oblique strain or you tweak your elbow or anything. If you go on a DL, you're going to get 100% paid. Well, as far as what the 37%, which for Max Scherzer is over $13 million. So this is going to be This is going to be very, very interesting as far as how this whole season, if we have a season, is going to play out, because there's ways around it. All they have to do is step foot on that field. Something's bothering me.
Mm-hmm.
Hey.
I hear you.
Yeah.
Speaking about if we're going to have a season, that's a perfect leeway into our second point. It's COVID-19, man. I mean, people have been distracted, and for a good reason. Even we've been talking about the social justice platforms out there and the movement that's happening, but this COVID is starting to go crazy. And just as some predicted earlier, that it was going to migrate from the coast and start going into the central of the country, there's massive outbreaks everywhere. Ed mentioned Major League Baseball had to shut down all their training facilities in Arizona and Florida because multiple ones had multiple people test positive, and they just said shut it down. College football. Did y'all hear LSU? They quarantined somewhere between 30 and 50 players at LSU.
Wow.
Yeah.
Or either tested positive or thinking that they might be positive, or they've been into the contact tracing. That's a third to a half of the program. Clemson had 28 test positive. And they had been on the campus for almost a week and a half. So these aren't the first tests. They're coming to college, they're testing them, and they only have a handful, and then a week later,
it's more.
They've got dozens.
And we don't need numbers from the coaching staff.
Here's the issue, and J3 talks about it. Johnny, Professor J, we all talk about this. It all comes down to cash. The football,
Straight cash, homie.
The football and basketball programs, and a lot of people are going to get offended, but the football and basketball programs, they fund these universities. And I'm not just talking about the athletic departments. They actually fund these universities.
Exactly. That's right.
Now, and I got a quick question for you. Finish your point. The color of the skin of the majority of the players on the football, the basketball team, are they primarily black or?
Yeah, they look like you.
We're gonna get into that in a second. But Mike Gundy, who's been under fire lately, everybody should know it's Oklahoma State's football coach. He actually said this, and I quote: He first of all, he admitted that the athletes, football players, provide commerce, and he said, and I quote, because we need to run money through Oklahoma. Again, because we need to run money through Oklahoma, the players need to be here. They're healthy, they're young, they're good to go.
What that sound like to you?
I was just about to
what that sound like?
Familiar.
What that sound like?
But this was I don't know if he was intoxicated. I don't know if he
One
had a
action
moment.
news.
I don't know if he had a moment of weakness or drank some truth serum. But he simply told the truth, and because of that, they're going to risk. Because let's face it, if they was really concerned about the health and safety of athletes, and this spans every sport, probably more so the team sports. If they were really concerned with the health and safety of athletes, they technically would shut down 2020. I mean, they would just say, okay, this ceased to exist. We don't have a vaccine. We can't quarantine everybody. We don't have a cure, so we don't really know how to treat it. So let's just shut everything down and come again next year. Maybe we might, because Dr. Fauci even admitted the likelihood of any type of vaccine will probably come early next year sometime. So if the experts are saying we won't have a vaccine of any kind until next year,
what we doing here, huh?
Are these university presidents experts? Are these football coaches
Not
experts?
at all. They experts about that bottom dollar.
Right.
I mean,
that's all they care about.
Yeah, this is an arms race. If you look outside the money, it's win a national championship by any means necessary. Why you think we got LSU 30, Alabama 8 and counting, Clemson 28, Kansas State 14, Ole Miss, FSU, numbers going up. We even got people that just say we got multiple. They don't even want to give you the numbers. Texas 13, Houston 6, Arkansas State 7, Auburn 3. And that's just what they're reporting. Think about every major program across the country having positive tests. It's mirroring what we got going on in every state in the country. And then you got Florida trying to lure people, pros and colleges, to come to their state when their numbers are up over 4,000 in one day. 4,000 in one day. Just think about that. When we think about your son or your daughters playing collegiate sports in this type of environment and atmosphere, I mean, you can't sleep at night. But we know that the bottom line is that we have to make payroll for our entire colleges and universities because these big time programs are bringing in the money that we need to sustain everything we got going on. Ed just mentioned the college presidents and the ADs. What you think their salaries look like? We got college coaches making $5, $6, $7 million a year. Of course, they want their child to come back to campus early because they trying to sustain that type of income off of the sound like slave labor, the way you just described it, using our children to benefit from that. So, I mean, that's the name of the game, y'all. And we looking at witnesses right here. Go ahead, Sense.
I was about to say that should tell parents all they need to know about whether or not I want to send my child to that particular institution, because their eyes are just green with just like dollar signs, and that's all they care about at the end of the day. And that's just sad.
The sad part is you got a bunch of parents out there that their eyes are green too.
True, because they probably looking at what is the Buckeye Pledge and say, boy, you better sign that thing and go to Ohio State. I mean, just think about that. Your parent telling you to go, your coach telling you to come on, and then guess what? You like, man, I'm good enough to make the pros, so of course you're going to go and you're going to put yourself in harm's way. I mean, what is that saying about the state of our society, y'all?
I agree with you. Go ahead, Ed.
Another problem is that the ADs and the presidents, they are so afraid of losing revenue, of lost revenue, and as far as not being able to hire teachers, not being able to fund other sports, dealing with the politics of sports, which includes like Title IX and things of that nature. But they're so afraid of losing a grip on this that they'll do anything to try to maintain it. For instance, say you have, let's paint a little scenario. Say you have a loss of revenue, which is clearly we're headed that way. Because just because they have a season doesn't mean that people not going to get sick. It doesn't mean that people even want to participate. So seasons, you can schedule anything you want, but everyone doesn't have. You can't force somebody to play,
right?
When they have health concerns, you just can't do it,
right?
And some people, I think and I think we'll be shocked that there are going to be athletes that say, you know what, I'm gonna sit this one out. Even college athletes,
right?
But the colleges have such a good system going of exploiting these athletes.
Yeah,
that's why they don't want to pay them, because if companies, athletic apparel companies, or even universities are forced or made to pay these players, well, then that guess whose salaries get reduced? The coaches' salaries start getting reduced. Dabo wanted,
and they don't want that.
You don't want that.
Right.
AD, the president, all these pretty buildings going up on campuses,
exactly,
big time campuses, they're going to all of a sudden, disappear. So it's a money grab. It's a hustle. Like I said, if they was concerned about the health and welfare of these athletes, they would not play the game.
And here's the other caveat. If you know that star player sitting out and you sitting on the bench, what you gonna say? Oh, this is my opportunity. So then you gonna jump in there and say, okay, if he gonna or she gonna sit out, then now's my time to shine, and then I'm gonna go and possibly get sick as well. I mean, the interesting thing is that Dr. Fauci is one of the only ones, he's leading in this area, but he's one of the only ones that's speaking about the bubble concept, and that college football needs to start thinking in this fashion too. But here's what all sports need to start contemplating: shortening the season. If you're going to have a season, at least shorten it in a way where you can put people in an isolated environment, so to speak, but then lessen the contact that you have with them. And you do that by lessening how many games, how many times you're in the locker room. I think Curtis just said it. Locker rooms are one of the filthiest and most nastiest places.
Petri dish, basically.
Right. It's a petri dish, and it's like incubating, like just more than just COVID. We had MRSA outbreak and all that before. So you combine these things, and football comes right smack dab in the middle of flu season. So you got all that other stuff coming on, and then it's like, I mean, I'm gonna get into it in a few minutes, but you have players that are already saying, like Ed said, no, thank you, I'm not gonna do it. If you rushing me back, then I'm gonna have to decline, because a lot of players are taking the wait and see approach based on these numbers across the country.
Yeah.
Hey, Big Reg, what do you think about these waivers? I know Professor J just mentioned a little earlier about the Ohio State waiver, the Buckeye pledge. They
call it a pledge.
Right. Right.
What's your take on that, man?
I wouldn't sign it.
I wouldn't either.
There's no way I would sign it. If I was a parent, I wouldn't let my kids sign it. Because basically, even though they say they're not going to hold them to the language, if you get sick, get really sick, and that's where they're talking about, they're so young, they're healthy, they're athletes, all they're going to do is worse, be like flu-like symptoms. Florida has currently showing that that's not the actual situation. Right now, the average age of people coming down with COVID in Florida is around 35 years old. That's the average age. When they first started in Florida, it was near 60. So that means there's most of the people are between their 20s and 30s to bring the average down to 35. There's also a bunch of medical things out there showing that there are a segment of people that get permanent scarring on their lungs and in their total breathing system from this disease that will never recover. So if you're an athlete, you may be a top performing athlete and you get this and now you can't breathe right, you're done.
You're literally signing your life away. And no, I can't go for that.
Yeah,
we just
parents,
don't have any
Do you
patience.
believe some of the college athletes will be out wearing PPE while on the field? You think we're going to see a lot of that?
How you gonna play in PPE?
You mean on the
That's a
sideline?
suggestion.
Sideline, yeah.
In the game, some people are going to risk it. You're going to have some individuals. I completely agree with everything you all are saying, but I also know in my heart there are going to be some individuals that hop out on their field out of necessity. They need to make their money. They need to still get pick up checks from the donors because they need to send money back home. So I'm just thinking, as I see people working out every day now are still doing exercises outside, pull-ups, the whole nine, but they'll have a piece of PPE on. Now, I'm not expecting guys on the sideline to be grabbing hand sanitizer in between every play, but I wouldn't be surprised if I seen a one of the masks that had the filters on. I wouldn't be surprised if I seen that.
I think if the environment was more controlled, then I feel a little less hesitant to put myself out there to go back and play. But it seems like everything is just a big old ball of mess that they can't get a handle on. And if y'all can't get it together, why am I going to put myself in harm's way and just for the sake of kind of helping your cause, when like I need to see some control on your side before I put myself out there and play.
And
First of all, there are no standardized rules. Each conference is either doing their own thing, and some conferences are allowing the schools to do their own thing. So you can have one school that's on top, on point, doing everything they're supposed to do. You go play this other school that's not. The average college football team has 100+ people, just players. Then you add the coaches and the staff. You're talking about 200 people that you don't know what they've been doing, and you're supposed to go flying to their hometown, or they flying into your hometown to play a game.
Right.
Yeah.
In
And you
a physical, full exertion game. I don't know if any of y'all play football. I played football, high school level.
Yeah.
Tried to go to college to play football. Football is a dirty, grimy, nasty game.
Yeah.
Especially for linemen, which I was. You talking about full exertion, breathing, spitting on somebody across from you every time you hit them.
Sweat.
And you can't.
They're gonna go out there and do it because that physical exertion, that sweat. On the other side of that is a 15-bedroom home with a lake-like pool in the back. That's why those kids are going to risk it. I don't think I'm the type of individual where I wouldn't, but I don't see the conversation putting a dent in all those kids showing up to campus. Notice all the numbers we have to report from the campuses. The kids are going to school. 33 kids had to be tested. Go ahead, Ed. I'm sorry.
Well, Johnny, you're exactly right. I can't agree with you more. The kids probably do want to play. They've already started doing polls and the research that suggests that the kids will do it. And another thing, what Sense was alluding to, the thing about football, again, Big Reg also said it, you can't think. If you're out there thinking about getting sick or thinking about if this guy is going to, put body fluids on you or what have you, you're going to get hurt. You're going to get hurt fast too, especially at the big time programs. But again, Johnny, the kids do want to play, but the issue is, and that's where these waivers are kicking in. But again, a lot of legal experts say that's just, you can throw those out the window. That's not going to hold up in court. The issue is liability. See, these schools, they have, because we're talking two different things. The pro football versus really pro football, but they say it's college football.
Right.
They're scared to death of going into court because some kid got sick and had long-term effects of COVID-19. That's the issue with college sports. That issue right there is, and again, it comes back to money, and they don't want to, all the money that these same athletes made for them, they don't want to give it back to them in litigation. Exactly.
Not every agreement's protecting you. They just want that piece of paper that you signed and be like, hey, I mean, we gave to you the the potential perils of this, but I mean, you chose to sign it anyway, so ain't no marks on us.
The problem is that we know 100% that there are going to be some serious cases if they have these seasons, and people are going to be up in arms. But it's like the proof is in the pudding right here. It's like, okay, all of us have had our eyes open this whole time. Guess who tried to do a bubble in the first place? They tried to do one in Arizona. They tried to do one in Florida. baseball. It didn't work, did it? You still had several people who still got sick. They shut it down. Other sports trying to do the same thing. This is what has many of the NBA players concerned. I mean, Bertans from the Wizards was like, nah, I'm not doing it, as well as other players. Because they're like, I'm paying attention to what's happening not only in other sports, but what's going on across the country. And you expect us to believe that just because you place us in a quote unquote bubble, that it's not going to penetrate and get in and make mass people sick. I mean, when I told you guys last week, when I heard that one soccer team, I meant to get the name for this show, but when the whole soccer team got wiped out, and they had to get their little league team to play some pros, I was like, that's crazy. But that just shows you how fast it can go through a locker room or a training facility. And that's why the NFLPA is telling their players, we need y'all to stop even working out together. Then, of course, Tom Brady ignoring that because they still practice. But the point is that college is going to do what the pros are doing. If the pros are going full steam ahead, the colleges are going to go full steam ahead.
Money to be made.
I think you hit the nail right on the head, Professor. How many is enough? Because we're going to keep getting these outbreaks.
Mm-hmm.
How many is enough? How many are the public at large going to say we're okay with them continuing when they've got to quarantine 10 players? Is it 15? Is it half the team? When teams start having to forfeit games because they got so many players sick?
Well, check this out, fellas.
Is the outcry of the public going to be enough?
Go ahead, Johnny.
Will the outcry of the public be enough to overlook the fact that a lot of the players are going to want to play? I think that's going to be the problem. I want to see it shut down as well. But I think the kids want to play. I think the athletes, a lot of these athletes want to play. And I don't think it's just because of the game, of how much they love the game, because it yields a salary for them to maintain their everyday lives. I think that is the issue. They're pushed up against the wall, just like everybody else that walked the earth is kind of pushed up against the wall. I never want to leave my house. I have not want to leave my house the last 3 months. I've been forced to because I need to do what I got to do. So I'm thinking the kids are in this same boat. I think they're in the same boat. I believe a lot of them, if they could just take online classes and be cool and keep their scholarships, they'll do that. But they're going to lose their opportunity to do a lot of things they want in their lives. Yep. A lot of them coming from certain backgrounds feel like they don't have many options, though they do. A lot of them feel like they don't have many options. So I don't care what the outcry is going to be, in my opinion. I just think the individuals are going to desire that cash because it doesn't just make sense to the football teams and the owners and the schools. It makes a lot of sense to the kids too.
Right. I hear you. And before you go, Ed, just to get to G Money's question, I'm sorry, teammates and possibly getting a life-altering or fatal disease, all that goes out the window.
Yeah. My life's more important. My bad.
I'm with you.
Mm-hmm. I just want everybody to think about this. And I'm not going to comment on it, but I want you guys to remember this. Think back to where this whole pandemic in sports started. One player tested positive, Rudy Gobert. One player tested positive to start the whole chain reaction, and they shut down the entire sports world. Now we having multiple positive tests now, and it's not even phasing anybody. Nope. That's all I got to say about that.
Everyone's taking this Drago approach. If he dies, he dies.
Wow.
That's bad. That's bad.
So we talked about college football. I think pro football is looking at college football to kind of get an idea to see what will work and what won't work. But I don't think either one of them going to play. I can't see how you can play football without having major situations where you're going to have to forfeit games because you're going to have so many people out. Somebody brought up a point. What if one of your quarterbacks gets it, and he's in a quarterback room with the other quarterbacks. That's a small room, so you lose all your quarterbacks.
I guess they'll sign Cap then.
Finally.
Cap or Cam, huh? They finally get a job, huh?
Yeah, I guess they bring the brothers back.
Yeah, they'll use us as a scapegoat.
That's funny.
Guinea pig, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Okay, so very interesting, very interesting. Let's move on to the NBA. While the NBA is dealing with the COVID-19 situation, and I think it's becoming more of a point of emphasis because they plan on going to Florida and what's happening in Florida, you basically have 3 different other factions that are out there. What is so funny?
Johnny keep cracking.
He's like, can't get right.
Go ahead.
Sorry.
You've got 3 other factions out there that are looking at possibly not playing for different reasons. When the NBA and the Players Association came up to the agreement, the NBA gave players up until tomorrow, Wednesday, to make a decision, yay or nay. I'm coming to the bubble or I'm not. Even if you decide you're coming to the bubble, then you have to submit your medical records to a board that they're going to review to see if they'll let you in the bubble. And that goes for players, coaches, support staff. So it's going to be real interesting to see. But of the players making that decision on yay or nay, you've got the people who are concerned about COVID. You've got the people who are concerned about the social justice movement led by, or not even, I won't say led, who have been spokesmen with Kyrie Irving, Dwight Howard, and Avery Bradley, saying that we're not sure if we should play games and take away from the coverage that the movement is getting right now, and we don't want people to lose that. Then you got these people, most of them are 3rd or 4th year rookies that are up for max contract extensions, who are asking the NBA to either pay for or help finance a loss of future income insurance policy in the event that they get injured, get sick, because they could possibly lose hundreds of millions of dollars. So I mean, A, do you think the bubble could work? I think I know you guys' answer to that. And B, if you had that option, and I understand you got to make money, but if you were a mid-level player that's been in the league for 8 to 10 years, made 20, 30 million, $40 million, would you go?
All right. Well, me personally, I feel that it could work. It would take everyone being on the same page as far as, not kind of just maintaining a level of self-control, like not wanting to venture out like you want to and go out into the nightlife after games and socialize and things of that nature. I know it's, with dudes in the league, it's going to be hard, even though they have all these amenities on campus, to kind of keep you occupied. Folks ain't really going to go for that, but I feel it could work. As far as the mid-level players, I was listening to a podcast last night, and the guest had mentioned he had brought up a interesting point. Like, for those who wanted to sit out, for either the social justice reason or the COVID reason, maybe those players that are making even more money going to like a just like, collaborating and starting the fund to kind of, tide those players by who, will be losing out on those funds. So I thought that was pretty interesting. But as far as the bubble goes, I feel it could work, but everyone would have to be on the same page.
Johnny, I know you got something to say on this.
I was having a little bit of technological issues. Can we run the point back? I apologize from the bottom of my heart. I really do.
Well, my question was, with the bubble, do you think the NBA bubble would work? And if you were a player, and I'm not talking about a new rookie, but if you were in the league, you're a veteran, you've got 8 to 10 plus years in the league, you've made 20, 30, 40 million dollars. So money shouldn't be an issue. Would you go?
So I'm gonna answer your first question. No, I don't think the bubble's gonna work, and because of what we just said, pretty much the whole show. The second part of it, if I'm a mid-level player and I've made 20, 30 million dollars in the league, I got a wife and kid at home, and just like Johnny had said previously, I'm the type of man where I would have done the right things with my money. So the answer is no for me. But I do understand the player that's saying, look, I got a lifestyle I want to keep. I didn't quite save all my money. I love the game. I got an opportunity to help push the game, have a season, and I'm on a team that could win a championship. That's another caveat too. If I'm a veteran on a championship level team and LeBron or somebody saying, man, we need you, let's go get this chip, then that'll also factor in as well for me if I'm on that other side. So for me, the answer is no, but I do understand the player that says that they're going to go get that money. Like Austin Rivers said it best. He like, look, I'm the type of player, I'm not like the top people in the league. I'm one of these mid-level guys who stuck around the league for a while, and I want to make and earn the money that is in my contract. So I get it.
And I completely agree with Jamani. Same thing here. But if I really sit back and I'm honest with myself, the 21-year-old me has one answer. The 38-year-old me has another. 21-year-old me, I'm probably out there. I blew all my money. I'm not living right.
That's true. True story.
If it was today's generation, I'd have spent all my money on extra skinny jeans, extra small t-shirts,
chains, jewelry.
Cars I can't fit in. I can barely drive. The 38-year-old me has some money in the bank, who has a wife who's telling them, don't you go out there and bring something home to all of us.
Right.
We got plenty of money in this. It's just a sport. You have a life after this. So it really all depends on who you ask. And secondly, I think with the NBA players, is we've seen what's happening on the campuses, or if you're waiting to hear back from what happened with UFC, if there's any reports of anybody contracting COVID, I want to see how that bubble actually works, because the thing you will have to begin to tell yourself is the truth. Look, even though they're putting in all these protocols, they're making sure everything's clean. I see people spraying down this, that, and the third. I don't care how professional the cleaning crew that you bring in here is. They are human beings. Somebody can sneeze. Somebody gonna do this, that, and the third.
Yeah, they're gonna miss.
From the 4-for-4 all over the floor in the corner that they thought nobody was going to see. You're taking a risk when you step outside.
You don't think it could be controlled, though? You don't think it could be controlled?
Nah, because it hasn't been controlled.
It's be tough. It's airborne. The nature of it is it's airborne. So,
but you don't think they would
have my mask on during the day?
Mm-hmm.
The minute I take my mask off and I say anything, and I have COVID, it's free. I could have had my mask on for 7.5 hours. I work an 8-hour day.
Yeah, that one time.
Within that 8-hour day, I go, man, I'm hungry. COVID free, baby. It's gone.
I don't know. It's just something in me that would think they would not want one of their main cash cows. Like, they wouldn't want to risk anything. So they would have
they don't want it, but we don't fully understand it. Yeah, they don't want it. I think
they would strictly monitor it. This my opinion.
Yeah.
They're going to monitor the players
to a degree, because I don't believe COVID is running rampant in my home. But
Well,
that
control
means
to a degree is really no control at all. Let's just be real. You talk about
that's real. I feel
a little bit of control and a virus is really no control at all. I'm just
I
telling you.
feel I feel
Mm.
I believe if you come into my home, we try our best. Like we just had groceries. J3 seen me earlier. We was bringing in groceries.
Wiping
Before
everything
we
down.
put them bad boys up, we had bleached everything
Mm-hmm.
down. I done took the bags, and I'm probably going to put them outside in the backyard in the month and just burn them all for an hour. All the bags during the
Be Black
COVID-19.
Mama
Don't
with us, just
nothing stay
spraying
in the
everything
house.
down. Mm-hmm.
Everything down. So I know me and my wife are operating at a high level to make sure this environment is clean because she's pregnant. Are these guys going to do the same thing in the bubble down in Orlando? I don't know.
Come on, Ed. You've been itching to say something.
The bubble's not going to work. The only people that want the bubble is the players that have agendas, like LeBron. He knows this is probably his last chance to win another ring.
Wow.
Anthony Davis might not be there. Anthony Davis might not be there. The only players that think this can work is those players that have agendas. And if I was a mid-level player, I wouldn't play. And you're already seeing mid-level players talk about they want to spend time with their kids. They have health concerns. They ain't been wanting to
got a chance like Kyrie.
They ain't been wanting to spend time with their kids. They don't even know half of them.
Oh yeah, Paulie, you know they already out there.
You wrong for that, Ed.
I don't blame
You wrong for
Ariza.
that,
Ariza was like,
Ed.
look, man.
But anyway, no. So that's all I got to say on that. I won't take up the floor. I won't take up the floor.
You wrong for that.
I mean, let me just say this though. Didn't Fauci kind of commend Silver for like having this model of, control? Didn't he say it was like a good idea that Silver was doing this? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Because it's the best idea they have. There's nothing else that's better than the bubble, but Fauci says that there are no guarantees.
Right.
There's no guarantees.
Here's the problem with the bubble. You can quarantine everybody that's playing, all the team personnel, but the people cleaning the rooms, the people making the food, the people providing everybody for the entertainment are going home every night. So unless they're going to break them off with major pay raises and overtime to get them to stay,
which they could.
I mean, if they want to do it right, then everybody in the bubble needs to stay in the bubble.
On that one campus, yeah.
The NBA got the money to do it. They have the money to do it.
That would be the only way I can see it working.
That's where I think
then you're going to have 20 and 30-year-old millionaires who don't have their wife, girlfriend,
mistress,
their with them for several weeks. You don't think they're going to try to sneak off the campus and take care of something?
That was my only caveat. Like, yeah, they might kind of creep out into the Orlando streets, see what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, come on now. That's I'm more worried about that than anybody else. Because they start thinking with that other head and bring something back to the team. There goes a whole squad.
Johnny just said don't bring nothing back to the team.
They just need to be controlled, man. I just think they would just have to have a whole lot of control on it. Yeah.
Human error. They're going to have to pay. You might have to drop several million to curb human error. That's the only way to keep everybody in that box, unless you're going to be running tests and have replacements for an individual who fails the test at the door, and have that person immediately on standby and know exactly where to go and do to fill in for that person. That's asking a lot for individuals who are not getting paid a lot. So if the NBA wants to pull this off, flawless, I'm not even going to use that word because I think it's impossible. But they would definitely have to kick out that cash to create that perfect atmosphere they need to make this successful. But regardless if it's successful or not, or people getting sick or not, they playing ball. LeBron wants to play. That means
that's right. It's going to go the way LeBron goes.
So you believe?
So my question for all of y'all, is where do the waivers stop? Because I know they're going to get into the pros too, because the organizations, the teams, and the entities will want to protect themselves against a player or their families being able to sue the leagues.
Well, I think the NBA already said they, they're giving players the option to opt out, and not, join the team in Orlando.
Yeah, that's an opt-out. But I'm talking about the ones that decide to play. What protections you think the owners are going to put in place to make sure that a player or their families can't sue them if somebody gets sick or dies?
Well, the NFL
are whales really worried about the fish suing?
Well, the NFL actually is in the process of writing up a waiver form now for their players.
Told you. That's all I'm saying.
That's in the early stages right now, but that is happening right now.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. That's the NFL.
Well, I was also going to say, as far as the NBA goes, that might be something that the Players Association may be discussing with the owners now, as far as some type of protection, if they do, in fact, get infected with the virus. So, it's probably
that's the only point I'm raising.
I'm sure once they show up and go in that bubble and do the COVID testing.
I think that Reg froze.
Uh-oh, you froze, Reg.
You guarantee that you will continue to live by these rules in this bubble. And if you don't, all liabilities out. If you get COVID, even with this situation, all liabilities out. So, and good point.
Yeah, look what Curtis said. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we didn't forget about all the bad tests out there, but I think the NBA hopefully will pay for the good tests, because they say they're going to be testing guys every other day.
And then didn't they mention something about smart rings, like having smart rings that will take your temperature and your heart rate and all this stuff? Pretty much like
a sense. All of it is an experiment right now.
All of it.
Yeah.
They don't know what's going to work. All of it.
That ring's supposed to tell you when you within 6.
That's why I would stay home.
Yeah.
So we will see. We will see. All right, folks. It's time for things that caught our eye. This Bubba Wallace thing is taking a little turn today. For y'all that didn't hear, Sunday, NASCAR was supposed to race at Talladega, which is in Alabama. Early that morning, not Bubba Wallace, the only black driver in the top NASCAR group, but one of his crew members walked into their garage area and found a noose in the garage. Everybody was up in arms about it. NASCAR said they was going to get right on it and find out. They said there's cameras all over the garage. Now today, all of a sudden, the FBI, who just came in Monday, is saying that it really wasn't a noose. It was something they would use to prop open the door. And they've been using that since last year. And it just so happened to be in a stall that Bubba was assigned.
Right. How come it wasn't all the stalls like that?
Yeah.
I don't know about y'all fellas, but some sound real fishy to me.
Yeah, it's a lie.
I mean, but to sad, like I say this with like the utmost just sadness. Are we surprised? Like,
nope.
Are we really
figured
surprised?
They were gonna put a spin on something. I figured.
When they couldn't identify the person right away, and they said there were multiple cameras in the area, and
right, but his stall didn't have a camera.
Didn't have one.
Come on now.
Look, I don't know what's going on here. I don't want to accuse anybody of being shady. I just want to take it at face value. But here's what I will say. If this is the distraction, it doesn't work as far as the issue. The issue is the Wallace spoke out against the Confederate flag, and a hailstorm broke loose. Prior to the race in Talladega, Alabama, a state I love, prior to that race, lined up leading to the race around the speedway or the racetrack or whatever, however you want to call it, and flying up above in a plane
Confederate
was
flag.
the Confederate flag being prominently displayed. NASCAR fans are outraged, not because they found a noose in this man's stall. Oh, I'm sorry, a piece of string. It's determined that it wasn't a noose. They were outraged because they can't fly a flag that represents everything wrong with the former South or the current South. And we don't have to go into what it represents and what country it represented. All I'm saying is that's the outrage right there. That's the story right there. This let's not be distracted by the FBI coming out and saying that, oh well, it was just a piece of string. Everybody's stalled, hundreds of drivers and crew, and if this happens to be in this man's stall, come on now.
I can't speak for anyone else. I can't speak for anyone else, but NASCAR took one of the strongest stances I've seen thus far. They knew exactly what they were doing when they determined that they would no longer allow individuals to fly the Confederate flag or be affiliated with the Confederate flag no more. That is a strong stand and went directly at their base. The majority of the money, the states and areas that they frequent in, that really put them at the forefront of this. So for me, for them taking such a strong stand to be inclusive, now there's a part of me that plays devil advocate that says, well, maybe they weren't making enough money. It was probably time to go into another direction. We kind of want to tap into these Fortune 500 companies. So that, to me, there is a small part to me that says maybe they made this move for the dollar. Nonetheless, they made it. So since you're trying to make things a little bit more comfortable for me, I may participate and go and check me out a good old 100-lap race. I'm gonna go and check exactly. The sport, if you will, never appealed to me. It never seemed that welcoming. But since you are trying to open up the door and you now selling watermelon and you got fried chicken in the place to be, I'm like, come on,
you lost me there.
Sorry. I'm just kidding. Since they want to open up the door and say we can come on in, I'm gonna check it out. I'm gonna go ahead and check it out.
Well, look here.
And I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of black people turned out to events this year.
Well, look here.
Go to Delaware if you're gonna check it out, bro. Just go to Delaware. Don't go down south.
Yeah.
No, I ain't going down there. Alabama.
Did you hear me start talking red? The strongest stance that I've seen is from none other than Bubba Wallace. And I'm going to tell you why. Because he said that he would not be deterred. He's not going to get that smile taken off of his face. He going to stand proud, stand strong. And let me be clear to folks today if they don't understand. And this is from a Gen Xer, whatever you want to call us. We are no longer afraid of a noose hanging somewhere. We're not scared of your hoods. We're not scared of any of these things like that. We have been led to believe that we have every right that was given to each and every other person in this country. And therefore, if we want to change that history of hate, of bigotry, of racism, of destruction, then that's exactly where we're moving today. And Bubba Wallace right now is a beacon of hope. He's a sign that we are changing a sport. Like you said, Johnny, changing a sport that was not inclusive of us in the first place. You can count on your hand how many black drivers have driven on the NASCAR or Indy circuit in a lifetime. But now we have a chance to put a shining light on what is going on right now. And I'm telling you, y'all gonna see me with a Bubba Wallace t-shirt on very soon, because I'm gonna support the brother. He's doing something that many of us didn't have the guts to do.
Oh, right, indeed. Bubba. Indeed. Yeah. I echo those sentiments.
I hear you. Second thing, the court, for y'all UFC fans out there, this past weekend, Dana White putting on one of his weekly shows, but something happened that I haven't seen before. Um, there was a UFC fighter, Max, can't pronounce his last name, but at the end of the second round, he went into his corner and told his corner, call a fight. He didn't do it once. He didn't do it twice. He told his trainer 9 times to stop the fight.
Oh.
And his trainer wouldn't do it. It actually took the referee overhearing him tell his trainer to stop the fight. They were getting ready to start the next round, the third round, which was the final round. And he asked the fighter, do you really want to fight anymore? He said, no, I'm done. And the referee finally stopped the fight.
What is going on?
That's a good referee.
So, I mean, it's just your corner man's supposed to be there to motivate you, to give you points and cues. But
Have
when
your
you
back.
know you're done and you don't have it anymore, even Dana White said, if a fighter knows he's done, he's done.
Yeah.
I think the UFC or boxing or sports of that nature, you can't. If a fighter says he's done, you cannot put that fighter back out there. I mean, you literally risking death. I mean, it's they're actually investigating this trainer who actually is a former UFC fighter himself, but that doesn't. Irregardless, that was a bad look on UFC's part. But at least Dana White acknowledged that, hey, we were, that his corner was in the wrong.
Yeah, that disgusts me. Like, how are you going to put somebody's, again, life on the line? And, what if that didn't turn out well? Then his blood would have been on your hands.
Thank you. It goes back to what G Money said earlier, about this quitting thing. But I answered him. I said, man, if it's a matter of life and death, man, forget about what people think about if they say you quitting. If a person, the coaches and trainers are there to protect the fighter. If you see that you need to throw in the towel, especially to save his life, like you say, you got to throw it in because that next blow could take somebody out of here. So, you just got to know when to say when, man.
Yeah, that's been a big problem with like father-son teams, where the father's been the corner man, or brother teams, family members. They weren't even family members. This was just, somebody he actually paying to be his coach and not looking out for his well-being. So, yeah, that was a shame. That was a shame. Monuments are coming down all around this country, trying to get rid of the Confederate monuments in the sports world right here in the DMV area. The monument outside of RFK for George Preston Marshall, the last owner to integrate his football team, who was an outright racist. They finally removed his statue. Even though the stadium is not being used, they said it's got to go. So hopefully more states, more football teams will get rid of these statues in front of places. And for the starting running back for Mississippi State, I hope he holds his ground. He said he's not playing this season if Mississippi doesn't change their flag. And I hope that he has some other players join him and force Mississippi to get rid of that Confederate flag.
Keep it going. Keep it going. Yeah.
The WNBA continues to lead the way as far as athlete activism. I just like to shout out a few people. Atlanta Dream point guard Renee Montgomery and their starting shooting guard Tiffany Hayes both have decided that they're not going to play this season to continue to fight against social justice. Right here in DC, Washington Mystics starting point guard Natasha Cloud also decided she's not going to play this season because she wanted to continue to fight against social justice. And Cloud has been doing a lot in the DMV area for a long time. And she's been very, very heavily involved in the Black Lives Matter movement here. So just hats off to them. And Maya Moore one of the GOATs of women's basketball, not only sat out last year, she's decided to sit out again this year to see through to the end a family friend who got wrongfully convicted to 25 to 40 years in prison for a crime that they pretty much proved that he didn't do, but they still haven't completed the process to get him freed. And she says she's not going to come back until he's free and back home.
Mm.
So hats off to these sisters out here doing big work and putting money aside to fight for a cause that they believe in. All right, fellas, it's time for us to get ready to get out of here. So it's time for the final post of the evening. Let's start with Sense. Sense, what you got for me?
I just want to give a shout out to Nate Tabor. Started a movement. Hopefully he can keep it going. He decommitted from St. John's and decided to sign with Norfolk State University. So that's starting a wave of, 4-star, 5-star recruits going the way of HBCU. So let's keep it going.
Absolutely. Johnny, you got anything for us this evening? Think you need to unmute him, Professor.
Yes. Just want to send a quick shout out to all the close friends of mine that I grew up with, a lot of my married fellas. I just want to ask them, why didn't anyone tell me how much money I would spend before the baby actually got here?
If you think you spent money now, you ain't seen nothing yet, partner.
You ain't seen nothing.
And that's what I'm saying. It's costing me all.
Made you freeze
up.
up.
We lost him right in the middle of that.
Oh, he back. He back. Oh, I thought he was.
That's all right.
Hands one, they begun phase 1, moving into phase 2, and a lot of individuals are not taking it serious. More and more individuals outside. It's the summer, so do what's necessary to keep you and your family safe. That's it for me.
Absolutely. Professor, what you got for us this evening?
I wanted to keep the family of Rayshard Brooks in our prayers. May he rest in heaven, rest in paradise. Special shout out to the King family and Ebenezer Baptist Church for sending him home in style. But don't forget, y'all, the movement is not over. We need to keep on pushing. We need to keep on fighting. We need to keep on listening to each other. And we definitely need to get out to the polls and we need to vote. Let's make changes, y'all.
I hear you. Ed, what you got for us?
I just want to say, I hope everybody continues to be safe. Echoing what Johnny said, just stay safe, be cognizant of one another. That's all I have tonight.
Okay, appreciate it. And to end the show, my final thought, and y'all have to excuse me. If y'all can see, I got my dad t-shirt on today. I'm a proud girl dad.
All right.
My greatest accomplishment so far in life is being the dad to my beautiful, brilliant baby girl, Gianna. 13 months ago today, she completed her upper degree goal of a dual program at 2 of the top 10 rated schools in the world for what they do, when she got her second master's from Johns Hopkins School of Advanced International Studies, while also getting her law school degree from Harvard Law School.
Whew.
After that, she went right into studying for the bar. Took and passed the New York State Bar, which is one of the tough bars in the country, on the first time. Since then, she's been working at a New York law firm, but because of the COVID-19, she was not able to officially be sworn into the New York bar. Her first appointment, which was supposed to have been in late February, March, got canceled. She's supposed to happen again in April, it got postponed. It's supposed to happen in May, it got postponed. But I'm here to tell you, this Thursday at noon, virtually, my baby girl gets sworn into the New York State Bar and officially becomes a counselor and a lawyer. And so,
Yeah.
as
All
girl
right.
dad and Father's Day, I'm super hyped and proud of my baby girl.
Bless
And I just
her.
want to take a moment to share that with everybody out there listening. It's good to
Amen.
be a dad, and when your
Yes, it
children do
is.
what they're supposed to do, nothing's better than that. And the greatest gift I've ever been given is
Yes,
her.
sir.
All right, folks. Thank you all for
Congrats,
tuning in and
Deanna.
listening.
Yes.
Congrats. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate your time and the opportunity to share our positions on sports with you. Please tune in next week for our next live show next Tuesday, 7 p.m. You can also download the show on our YouTube page, Positional Sports Talk Show, as well as Facebook. Please not only like, but subscribe to the page. We greatly appreciate it.
Please.
And if you could tell your friends, family, and social media members about the show if you like us, we'd greatly appreciate it. Follow us on Instagram, Facebook at Positions on Sports. Again, we appreciate your time. We know you could be somewhere else doing something else. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts. Have a wonderful week. Have a great weekend. Have a wonderful evening. This has been the Positional Sports Talk Show. Peace.
God bless you.
Love you.
And we are